If you're watching this video, it means you want to see more builds for Pathfinder 2e, and Tabletop Shampoo is here to deliver.
That's right, and with this one, we thought it would be time to give you guys a different kind of support. We're not in the back or the middle, we're in the front. No magic, just tactics with a sharp weapon. We will assist all who join us in battle and strike fear in the hearts of enemies.
This is a fighter/martial support build. Our focus is on helping our party members bring the pain and leveraging the frightened condition on enemies, adding an extra layer of both offense and defense.
I know you're excited, so let's dive into the build.
But first, if you enjoy our content and want to see more, help us out by hitting that subscribe button. It's free, and you can undo it, unlike that time you decided to challenge a dragon to a rap battle and the DM made you roleplay it.
Turns out you can't spit hot fire better than a dragon.
But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Your eyes that day filled me with fear.
Okay, to start off this build, we are going with Fighter with a Hobgoblin ancestry. Not only are Hobgoblins perfectly on theme due to their militaristic culture, it's also great for fear-based heritage feats. We're taking Runt Boss for group coercion, plus extra bullying for goblins. For your ancestry feat, we're taking Remorseless Lash, extending the frightened condition of the enemy you hit in melee until the beginning of your next turn. You'll notice that you are staying on theme for intimidation and fear with these feats. For your background and boosts, make sure you focus on strength first, then some charisma for your secondary stat. Your starting stats should look something like this. And that brings us to stage 1.
Stage 1 looks at the first 5 levels of the character, and they usually end up being important as they set the theme for what we'll be building. We're only going over what we consider to be the most important picks for feats and skills, and we welcome the viewer to fill in the gaps to fit the flavor of your character. Our flavor of choice? Battlefield Bully, and we think nothing exemplifies that better than taking Power Attack at level 1. Using a two-handed weapon, we can get extra damage dice for our one big swing a turn, dealing big damage. For our Nightmare Martial, we're going to be in the thick of it, so taking Battle Medicine at level 2 and Toughness at level 3 is a no-brainer. Extra heals for you and your team solidifies your role as battle support, and Toughness makes you that much harder to kill when it comes down to it. Class feats at level 2 and 4 shows us going heavily into the Martial dedication, taking the dedication itself with the focus on Intimidation at 2 and Dread Martial Stance at 4. Dread Martial Stance really lets you stack on the damage, being a Bard type aura that gives all of your allies in the radius bonus damage equal to the number of weapon damage dice. Additionally, they will cause enemies to become frightened 1 on critical hits. Also at level 4, we suggest taking Intimidating Prowess as your skill feat, since it gives you bonuses to coerce and demoralize. Finally, at level 5, we take Agonizing Rebuke as our ancestry feat, allowing us to do sustained mental damage when we demoralize a foe and keeping them frightened throughout combat. For your skills, we recommend improving Intimidation, Medicine, Diplomacy, and Athletics first. Stats-wise, keeping our focus on Strength, Charisma, and Constitution should result us in a stat block that looks something like this. And that brings us to stage 2.
Things start getting crazy in stage 2. At level 6 we get Shattered Defenses, letting us completely thrash frightened creatures by making them flat-footed. Taking Ball Maul for your skill feat here gives us some interesting setups. Use it to impose a -2 to will saves, then demoralize against that save. Tack on the frightened condition, and then bop them with a melee strike. Make it stick. If they want to shake the Ball Maul condition, they have to burn an action. An occultist in the party that targets will saves will have a field day. Intimidating Strike at level 8 will make them scared from a melee attack alone. At level 9 we get an additional feat for the plan via combat flexibility, which I recommend taking Furious Focus, effectively nullifying the downside of using Power Attack. At level 10 we take Fearsome Brute, which is even more damage against frightened opponents, especially when we factor in our weapon specialization that we got at level 7. It gives us a circumstance bonus against frightened enemies equal to twice their frightened value, triple if you are a master at intimidation. Battle Cry as your skill feat here gives you a free demoralize action at the start of each combat, allowing you to get the damage rolling as soon as possible. At the end of stage 2, we should be a master in diplomacy and intimidation and an expert in athletics. Our stat block should look something like this, and that takes us to stage 3.
Okay, stage 3 starts off with Terrified Retreat as our general feat at level 11. When we critically succeed at a demoralize action, the target will flee for 1 round if they are a lower level than you. Cadence Call at level 12 sets us up for Tactical Cadence at level 14, allowing your team to take an extra action to stride while within your martial aura in exchange for losing an action their following turn. But it really gets ridiculous with Tactical Cadence, effectively giving your whole team within your martial aura the effects of the haste spell with no downside. Take Ancestry and skill feats to taste here, but we recommend Squad Tactics, Intimidating Glare, and finally taking Scare to Death as your general feat at level 15. At this point, you should be legendary in Intimidation and master in Athletics and Diplomacy. Now we can go ahead and wrap up stage 3 with a stat block.
The final stage of our character build starts off with Overwhelming Blow at level 16. This feat should have been called Someone is Gonna Die, because for 3 actions, you get a guaranteed crit if you hit. If you would have crit anyway, you get the deadly D12 trait added, but the attack does come with some huge risks, since you become stun 1 and are flat-footed regardless of whether you hit or not. Rallying Cry as your ancestry feat at level 17 continues your aura buffs and gives your allies temporary hit points. At level 18 we get Savage Critical, so we crit on 19s. The capstone feat we take at level 20 is Weapon Supremacy, making us permanently quicken with an extra action to strike. So we're really dishing out the damage. Skills should be legendary in Diplomacy, Intimidation, and Athletics. And our final stat block shown here to finish out our character.
This is a cool build. I really like the vibe and thematic nature of this character. A fearsome warrior who attacks so viciously it makes all of their foes quiver in fear. Someone who commands both combat and respect without question from enemies and allies alike. Some of the pros of playing this build is that they are a very tough frontliner. They do tons of consistent damage, and they provide numerous battlefield advantages in combat for their allies and disadvantages for their foes.
There are some cons to the build, however. Slow movement speed and terrible range options because we dump decks make us not very effective over long distances. But once we get to the fight, will be ruthlessly efficient. There are also many gearing options that can enhance this build, but we can cover that on a follow-up vid. If that's something you'd like to see, give us a comment and let us know.
And that will wrap up our video on the Nightmare Martial. If you enjoyed that video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. We are attempting to grow our channel and could use your help. We're also happy to answer any questions you might have in the comments below.
For this build and our future builds, we'll be putting a path builder link in the description to give you an example of some of the choices we made when making this character. But that's it for this vid. As always, don't forget to spend your hero points. This is Tabletop Champ Lou, signing out.